Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode on the FTB Sports Channel. This is the FTB Premier League preview show. I am FTB Stitches, and I've got a delectable selection of guests with me tonight. I've got Solo United 7. I don't think he's ever been called delectable in his life, but there's a first for everything. And we've got Ian with us tonight as well. Welcome, Ian. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm good. We were just discussing me setting up a different Twitter account, so I can give myself a Twitter name. So in my head, I'm running through all these names.
Fantastic.
Even though my hero is Colin Bell, I won't call myself a Bell
End. All right. We're off to an absolute flyer this evening. Classic. So without further ado, as we're talking about social media stuff, let's get all of that out of the way. Like, subscribe to the FTB Sports Channel. We've got a wide variety of content for you to digest. We have preview shows. We have the Carly Osborne review. We've got the watch-alongs that we do. We've got the opinion shows. We've got the preview shows for some of the matches. Please join us. We're a new community. We're building, and we can't do it all without your support. And with all of that said, let's get straight into it. So we're looking to review the matches that have taken place this evening. And so far, we've got some result already in terms of West Ham beating West Brom. Great result there for David Moyes and his boys getting a home win. West Bromwich Albion, Sam Allardyce. Yeah. Will Sam Allardyce be able to pull it off again? He's done a great escape many a times. What do you reckon, Ian?
I hope not, because I did not like, and I repeat, did not like the way that the owners of West Brom got rid of Slaven Bilic. He brought them up to the Premier League. They were fighting for survival, just like Fulham, who were trying to play good football. I was massively disappointed. To me, it's like a bit like when the Venkies bought Blackburn and chewed through lots of different managers, or what happens in Watford. I don't like that. So even though the Baggies are close to my heart, I used to go and watch them. They were my team at uni when I was in Birmingham. No, I don't like Fat Sam's style. I don't like his method of football, and I don't like the owner's style. So unfortunately, I'm kind of wishing him badly this season. At the same time, I think West Ham, the word redemption for David Moyes seems to come out. Redemption for David Moyes. He's rekindled his old Everton touch. And I think he's starting to play some good football. When I look at some of these players like Cresswell, great player, Suke, Rice, of course, and everyone, particularly clubs like United and Liverpool, they're going, "You're going to need these central defenders." Well, what about Dawson? They got him on a free transfer, and there he is playing beautifully at West Ham in the Premier League. Who needs to shell out all that money, unless you're City, of course, and you buy that God Diaz? So, yeah, it didn't surprise me. It did not surprise me. Good to see Mark Noble get a game. Got to say, you've got to love it when a player is just a one-club player. Mark Noble, you've got to put him up as a hero. So, I think that's a deserved win, and I think West Ham will be knocking on the European door come the end of the season, somewhere at 5, 6, 7.
Good. So that's a good endorsement from Moyes from Ian there, and an absolute no for West Brom overall. Moving on to Solo United. Just a quick question then, because you're a Manchester United fan. So how do you feel looking at Moyes doing what he's doing with West Ham? What are your thoughts?
For me, for David Moyes, he's doing an incredible job. Compared to all the stick that basically the West Ham fan gave him right at the beginning of his reign at West Ham. I think he went in West Ham with a team that wasn't his team, so he couldn't cement his sort of like what he wants to cement on it. Yeah. So now he's basically gone now, and where he's got some of the youngsters in place now, he's gone and they're listening to him and they're actually doing what they need to do. And it's almost like the West Ham players right now will run through a brick wall for him. But I wonder if there was fans in the ground now, whether or not he would still, whether or not they want him in or out. At the moment, West Ham, there's a stats with them. They're looking for their 50th centre forward since O'Sullivan have been there. So what David Moyes has done is tremendous work. At Man United, I've got to be honest with you, he wasn't back there at all by Woodward. And I think he lost his job at Man United because he came up for comment saying, we aspire to be like City, which you're technically the champion the season before that. So you can't be using those sort of words when it comes to Man United. So, and also there's rumours apparently that Patrice Evra and Rio Ferdinand were picking the team whilst he was there.
Complete
But
shambles.
good on him. Good on him though, doing West Ham. Hats off to him. Great.
Yeah, that sounds like a complete shambles. You've got Patrice Evra picking your team for you every weekend. Anyway, let's leave that there. Let's move on. Another match that is well underway at the moment. I think last I saw, Leicester City were in the lead against Chelsea at home. What do you make of this one? Because this is potentially like a top 4 clash here. Very important match. Both teams vying for that top 4. What do you make of it? What do you make of what Brendan Rodgers is doing at Leicester City, Solo United 7?
Listen, I'll take my hats off to him. He is so underrated, so underrated as a manager. He was at Liverpool, and I believe when Liverpool just narrowly missed out on winning the league. And obviously, I think you lost Suarez the next season, and it's almost like he was asking for players, but again, I'm not a Liverpool fan, so I don't know what the ins and outs at the Liverpool club is, but the rumours was he was asking for certain players and he was getting Balotelli. So to be fair to him, I think Rodgers is a fantastic manager. Not only a fantastic manager, but he's a fantastic person from the rumours I've heard as well. So you know what? If Leicester went on and win the league, I'll give it to him because I just think he's a fantastic person and a manager, and what he's done at Leicester City, it's remarkable.
So you think he could win the league?
I think he could. I honestly think he could because, to be honest with you, I just believe he's so underrated. It's unbelievable as a manager.
It's interesting. So, Ian, what are your thoughts on that? Are you Brendan can win the league?
Yeah.
And what do you make of what? And what do you make of Frank or Brendan?
Well, I think firstly, Leicester, take nothing away from Brendan Rodgers. He had great success at Celtic. I thought he was unfortunate at Liverpool. It's strange, isn't it? They've gone through a few managers at Leicester, but somehow they've re-emerged playing the same style of football that won them the league. Interesting that, isn't it? Playing around basically Jamie Vardy's strengths up front off the break with the incredible hard working. And I always cite him whenever I'm talking about Leicester, I'm talking about Mark O'Brien. No one ever talks about him, but that guy, I haven't looked at any stats to say who covers the most ground in the Premier League. But if ever there was a modern day player who gets forward as much as he defends, that's amazing. When you lose a fullback to the quality of Ben Chilwell than to Chelsea to buy Castagne, that's really good. So I think we've got a great team, really exciting team, and if their first 11 stays fit all the way through the season, I think they'll be there or thereabouts in the mix. But the difference between Leicester, Man City, Man United, and Liverpool is that Leicester don't have the depth of team. So it's just if the gods are with them, the injury gods are with them, and they keep all that first 11 fit, they'll absolutely be there. However, if they get just 2 injuries, I think Leicester will not quite be the same force. And probably name the Leicester team that won the league, and they have a similar 11 players all the way through. So great team. In terms of Chelsea, I'm just not certain what's going on. The signings they made in the close season seem like the right signings to make. When you track German football, and gosh, Thiago Silva, who wouldn't have bought Thiago? They all seem like the right things to do. I'll make the same comments as I made before. They did lose a lot of experience in that close season, whether it was Willian, whether it was Pedro, whether it was Hazard who just got to Real Madrid. They're all a similar kind of attacking flair player that I'm not sure that they replaced them with well enough. So I think Chelsea are nowhere near the top 4. They'll probably finish 8, 9, or 10. But I think Leicester will chase the pack all the way.
So my views on it, being a Liverpool fan and having experienced the Brendan Rodgers style of management, He's good when it's good. He's not so good when it's not. Um, I know Solo United 7, you mentioned that, he was unlucky and he wasn't backed in the transfer market. Brendan Rodgers was allowed to spend over £200 million at Liverpool. From my eyes, that's backing, considering how much we don't have. He made some shocking signings, and I think that he didn't work with the transfer committee. It was always, a battle in terms of alignment. You can see what can happen when you're aligned with that transfer committee. Now, as Jurgen Klopp is, the signings we've made since Brendan has left have been terrific. I think that he's very quick to pat himself on the back, but not so quick to take responsibility when it's not going well. He's very capable of throwing people under the bus. I mean, we had a great run under him, but I was never really convinced. And as far as I'm concerned, if you lose one great player, and then that means you jump from first to sixth or seventh in the league, then was it the manager's influence or was it that player's influence? And those questions are still unanswered, because last season everyone was lauding Leicester City and saying how well they were doing, and all I said was just, let's wait till they have a couple of injuries, right, and then we'll see what his real worth is. And so it said they just fell off completely. So I have a slightly different take on Brendan Rodgers. I think he's a very talented manager. I think he still got a lot of learning and development to do, but I'm not convinced just yet. And as for Frank, my opinion is that job's too big for him. Great player, great servant to Chelsea, but just in the same way as I wouldn't want Steven Gerrard to be given the Liverpool job just because Steven Gerrard's a Liverpool legend, I think it's a total mistake. You get the most qualified person for the job, someone that's experienced. There's certain jobs in the Premier League where I don't think you get to go and cut your teeth there. It's got to be a situation where you're an established manager, you've achieved something in the game for you to walk into that job. And I think Chelsea's one of those. But, I could be proven wrong. We'll see. So with that being said, let's move on. Next game we're going to preview is the Manchester City Aston Villa game. Both teams in fine form. Manchester City with the performance of the weekend. Absolutely terrific performance. And against Crystal Palace. And then Aston Villa, a really funny one. They seem to be on their day the team that can take points off anyone this season. So, Ian, how do you see that game going?
I don't think we'll concede 7. That's all. But that aside, it's the luxury of COVID. Now, Villa haven't played for 3 weeks, and they haven't really named who of their first team squad suffered from COVID at all. So it's all unknown. But when I was watching City and they were playing fairly sluggish football, they played United. It was a shocking game. I never saw the Chelsea performance coming. It was almost like someone turned the switch on. And I think what happened was that they had that week's break when they lost a fixture because they didn't play it because of COVID. It gave them that break and that injection. So just at the back of my mind, I nag that if the right players have been nicely rested for Villa and they're chomping at the bit, City have played quite a few games within the last 10 days. Villa might be a right handful tomorrow night. They could be fast out of the blocks. But it's difficult to predict because I don't know which players are affected by COVID. And unless you know that, it's really, really hard to call it. If their key players haven't been affected and they're well rested with 3 weeks rest, just doing the training and chomping a bit to play, then City might get a hard time. They might get a hard time. But if I was going to predict it, I'd be gutted if City lose tomorrow night. They're on a decent run. They can play that absolutely because they've only got Cheltenham on the weekend, so they can really, put every player they want to put in there. I think City will do it. I think City will do it maybe 2-0.
2-0 City.
Yeah, they're really top defense at the moment. I think they can do it 2-0.
To be honest with you, like what Ian said, it's so true. We do not know what players has been affected with COVID. So I'm going to look at this game and I'm going to say, to be honest with you, let's say I think City is going to literally beat them. it'd be like 3-1 score, to be honest with you, because that's my prediction, because I honestly don't know what the crises are at sort of Villa. Looking at what sort of City have done since that week break, they've just come back and it's almost like they're a different team. Like one of the best defense in the Premier League at the moment. They're not literally picking teams off like they usually do, apart from obviously the Chelsea game and the Crystal Palace game. But all the other games they've been doing, it's like literally 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, and that's it. So to be honest with you, City, yeah, they'll win their game tomorrow, comfortable. They'll go top of the league.
For a few minutes.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So everyone's here plumping for a City win.
Well, I'd prefer not to have a City win, but
it's the least known entity. All I'd say is, logically, you would say that.
Yeah.
But COVID isn't logical. There could be a trick in the tail there. There could be a trick in the tail.
Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. So let's go with the next match to be reviewed. It's Fulham versus Man United. I'm going to go straight to you on this one, Solo United 7, as the name gives away. Off the back of your apparently Premiership winning performance at Liverpool this weekend, the performance of champions where you really went for it and turned over a team that had no centre backs. Fantastic performance. How do you see yourselves performing against Fulham? Will you be going for it in the same vein?
No. What as I've been trying to explain to a lot of people, with United, when you look at Man United's setup throughout the whole season, sort of like last season before the lockdown and everything, what people got to see and understand is it's almost like he had the shackles off the players and we were getting beaten left, right and centre. Then when we came back from COVID, he then played 2 defensive midfield players every single game. He's been doing it to catch people out on the counter-attack. That's why we have those 3 front players in Martial, Rashford. We sometimes play Daniel James there. We've got Cavani there now, who probably sit up more up top. But I can't see any changes in tomorrow's game. We're going to go to Fulham. We're going to play 2 holding midfield and catch them on the counter-attack. Nothing's going to change. So for me, Fulham's no mug of a team. They've been performing very well. Also, against Chelsea, they're very unlucky. They had a player sent off after like 20 minutes or something like that, and they were still in the game up until the 85th minute. So take nothing away from Fulham at all, but I'm going to go with sort of about 2-1 scrape, United 2-1 scrape in the win.
Yeah. At least one penalty in there for you to get that win, yeah?
Listen, a goal is a goal. I'll take it all day long. Like I said to you, and I keep telling every single person, listen, Man United, where we are now, top of the league, I didn't expect it, but I'll enjoy it. Yeah,
and you've got an unbeaten record away from home, so all things are in your favour. Ian, how do you see that one going?
I think the first thing I want to say is I respect what Scott Parker's doing at Fulham. Just like Graham Potter at Brighton, they're trying to really, really play great football to stay in the Premier League. And there's many managers who've gone before them, some older, wizened, more managers, from Rafa Benitez to Steve Bruce to Allardyce to all those old, guys who've tried to defend their way out of staying in the Premier League. So what Potter and Scott Parker are doing, I massively respect. I really respect that. I love seeing that. And both teams are playing good football. And actually, some may say it's unfair, but I'm going to add Sean Dyche to the party as well, because Burnley have played quite well. They're playing quite well. Everyone criticises them for kick and run football, but actually they play a lot less kick and run than Newcastle and a lot less than West Brom and Sheffield United. Much as I would want Fulham to beat United tomorrow, and I really, really would like it, I'm not certain they're going to have quite enough in the tank. They have got 1 day's extra rest over United in terms of they played on the Saturday and United played on the Sunday, and they were at home, so that gives them a slight advantage. But if the game's being held to about the 70th minute, United will have box of fireworks like Cavani and people on the bench, Greenwood, to come on and turn the game. And who might pull on Mitrovic? Well, even Maguire will keep him quiet. So I just think United will have too much, and the game will turn in the last 20 minutes as they play their options of substitution. Sadly, so I think it's going to be something. It's going to be a turgid 1-0 to United late on.
Okay.
Stitches, sorry. Can you see the go on? Stitches. Can you see the questions? Yeah, or you
it's
come back
not
to
a
them?
question. It's more a statement. I don't see the criticism from Adam Morris. He says he's now said he feels that United have not changed the way they play for a year, and guess what? We're unbeaten away from home for a year. I did allude to that, and it's not really a criticism. It's just for me. Obviously, I'm a proper red, a Liverpool red. So I dislike Man United. End of. But for me, it's just interesting to note how the Man United fan base has changed from we're champions, we go for it, to being able to accept bus parking against their biggest rival. And, great. So he's played that way for a year. My only point is this. There's the difference between playing a shape and there's a difference between your philosophy. You can play two holding midfielders and still really go for it, as you did in the last 15, 20 minutes of the game. You could have played the whole game that way, but you didn't. So if you guys are happy with it, it's your team. If that's what you're happy to see, that's what you're happy to see. So anyway, onto my team. By the way, I was disappointed with the result. Absolutely gutted. To me, that felt like a defeat. So that's the difference, I guess, between champions and champion wannabes. Anyway, moving on to Liverpool versus Burnley. I'm actually going to let you guys take this away first before I put my comments in. Ian, how do you see this going?
I was just looking, when did Burnley last play? Yeah, they played Saturday as well. So, like Fulham, they've got a day's advantage over Liverpool a little bit. What I want to say, let's start at the beginning. What I do want to say is, being an old guy who watched Liverpool through the Brian Hall and Steve Highway days, as they heading to Keegan and then Dalglish and all that era. What Liverpool were famous for was just buying a couple of good players a season and keeping that momentum going over a period of years. In a very, very simple parallel universe that Alex Ferguson did at United. But what unfortunately happens at a long end, at a terminal there, is you end up with poor old David Moyes picked up United, where actually they needed 8 players, and then Brendan Rodgers and was it Benitez struggled a little bit, and they probably needed 7 or 8 new players for Liverpool. They hadn't invested wisely enough as they'd gone along. So I think that some of the criticism that you lob at Moyes and you lob at Rodgers, etc., I think your criticism should be based on the clubs not investing wisely enough as they've gone along to keep that momentum rocking and rolling, like they did in the golden more than a decade, more like Leeds United did in one period of time. So that's the point I just want to make of that bit. Sometimes you end up transitioning 3 or 4 managers to get back to where you wanted to be because the club was a bit derelict. But in terms of look, again, much as I'd like Liverpool to lose to Burnley and United to Fulham, I'm not sure it's going to happen. I think Liverpool just have a bit much for Burnley, like United will have a bit much for Fulham. Again, it could happen late. I think, I'm going to predict the same score, same parallel thing. I think Liverpool will win 1-0 late, just like United will win 1-0 late. They'll both grind the results out, both not playing very well at the moment. They seem to have a lack of energy, a lack of vitality about their teams. But again, they've got enough on the bench to turn the game when they need to in the final quarter. That would be my take.
Is Liverpool home or away?
We're at home.
You're at home. So 3-0 Liverpool. 3-0 Liverpool. 3-0 Liverpool.
I'm not sure. Liverpool haven't got enough at the moment to make it 3-0.
I think this is a game. I think that because of the criticism we're getting, haven't scored in 4, I think this might be the game they go and they just turn over. They'll turn them over. And I think partly, I believe, what might happen tomorrow, one of the guys who's playing centre-back, whether or not it's going to be Fabinho or it's going to be Henderson, one of them will come out and they'll give the youngsters a chance at the back. And basically, to be honest with you, I think Liverpool will win it quite comfortable 3-0.
Yeah, I'm not sure it'll be 3-0, but I expect us to win. So just to correct you on something there, you said not scored in 4. It's actually 3.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
So yeah, let's just get that straight.
Maybe looking into the future and before after the next
After
game.
That might be right. He might be great gazing into his crystal ball. So actually, what will be interesting, I think, about that match is that we'll actually possibly have one centre back.
Yeah.
So Joel Matip might actually be back for that game, which will be a massive, massive difference to us. Because that, as you said quite rightly, means that Henderson can go back into the midfield. I think that it will be interesting. I think that you've got the top goal scorer in the league, even though everyone wants to talk about we're not scoring and whatnot, you've still got Salah as top goal scorer in the league, which says a lot. How many games is he going to go without scoring? I think he's about due one, so I expect that we will score. With Matip back, I expect our defence to be a bit stronger, so I think we will have too much for them, but I don't see it being like a 3-0 victory. I see probably a solid 1-0 or a solid 2-0. That's my prediction.
Question for you. I read an interesting article. I can't remember who it was. Some ex-pro criticism of Liverpool. And they said they were not convinced that Thiago was actually healthy for the team. That the club is slowing the Liverpool approach up and changing remarkably the way Liverpool are going about things. It was an interesting comment.
It was a stupid comment. I'll tell you why I think it's stupid, and I'm going to answer that. Like, Thiago Alcantara, one of his superpowers is his ability to dictate and change the pace of a game. No one plays that first time round the corner pass that breaks the line better than he does. No one's able to just take that ball and break the line, dropping a shoulder. He did it a few times to Fred. I don't know whether Fred knew whether he was coming or going, but there's a couple of times he did it to Fred, did it to McTominay, where he just, did the little shimmy and he was gone. I think he's not been able to play any amount of games since he was hideously tackled at Everton. The fact is, these guys have to get used to understanding that if Thiago's got the ball, make a run. It's as simple as that. He will find you. And it's nothing to do with him slowing the game down. I think it's a matter of time for the players getting used to the way that he plays. There's accusations that
I think he's a bit slow. I think he's a poor man's Danny Murphy.
Yeah, we'll see, won't we?
Yeah. I mean, quick one.
I don't really care if people will. What's that? Sorry,
I was saying I think Leicester are 2-0 up.
Okay, fantastic. I don't really care if people want to make these kind of comments after he's played one full game and a half. I guess hyperbole sells, doesn't it? So make that poor man's Danny Murphy. Come on, it's just ridiculous. You expect the standard of journalism. You expect the standard of journalism to be a little bit better. You expect the standard of journalism to be a little bit better than that, to make a bit more of a value statement. But time will tell. Time will tell. I'm convinced that he is the real deal. I'm convinced that we'll be having this conversation again in a few games, and it will be totally different. But this is what pundits are paid to do, and these comments are coming from people who I just think need to just give their heads a wobble. But that's my view. They probably think the same about me. But with that being said, to our last game, so Villa are having to, because of their backlog of games, play a number of games back to back. So it'll be Villa versus Newcastle. My view on this, I fully expect an Aston Villa win. 3 points in the bag for Villa on this one. Newcastle are just woeful at the moment. I'm not sure how long Steve Bruce will have at that club. There's talk of new owners. There's all of this. But yeah, they're just toothless at the moment. And just to watch their football, I don't really know where it's going. Solo United 7. What's your take on that Villa game?
I think, to be honest with you, with Newcastle, they were playing okay until the COVID hit their training round and a few of their players, because they still got 3 players out I can't remember who they are. The striker, what's his name?
Joe Leighton.
Him, and there's another 2 players who normally start for them as well. They're technically their 3 best players right now is out with COVID still in a critical condition. So losing those 3 players And obviously, they're not allowed to go in the transfer market at the moment because of the owner will not give them any money. I feel sorry for them in a way. But like you said, I expect Villa fully to beat them.
Yeah, I think Villa could beat them heavily. What they ought to thank their lucky star, of all the clubs in the Premier League, they need to thank their lucky stars that there aren't any fans at the ground. Because the Newcastle fans would be going ballistic at this stage at Steve Bruce. And it's almost like we've come full circle in this conversation. We don't understand COVID. We don't understand how it affects different players. How does that affect a top professional athlete? I don't know. Because Newcastle had both Lascelles, who's their main central defender and captain, out for weeks with COVID, and Maximilian Max, who again was their star player last season. He was out 3-4 weeks. So it's badly affected them. Joe Leaton, and then lack of investment. They've blown a
Sorry, Ian, I'm going to butt in as well about lack investment. Do you know this season they spent more money than United in transfer market?
Who, Newcastle?
Yeah.
How much have they spent?
Pardon?
How much have they spent?
I think if I'm right, they spent over 80 million.
Didn't United spend that on Fernandes?
No.
And Telles?
No. For the season, United, we brought in
Fernandes and Telles added together is more than that, isn't it?
15 million. No, Fernandes been there a while. Fernandes been there since last season.
January, wasn't it?
But this is the point, though. How are you going to make a comparison with a team that's full of stars in that way and doesn't really need to invest as much as Newcastle? Are you really genuinely going to make that comparison?
Well,
behave yourself. Behave yourself. They need to invest in that team.
No, they need a big investment.
Look at the squad they've got to. Yeah, but look at the squad they've got to work with. You're comparing Man United.
A weekly wage that's more than about half the Newcastle team added up.
You know what, though? And I don't understand why Newcastle
and if you add
haven't done it.
Gallo into that as well, with the wages from China, that would be the whole Newcastle team in 2 players.
Yeah. But do you know what I was thinking? You just said it. Ingalo, yeah, he's at United. But do you know? But we're paying like 20% of his of his salary. That's it.
How much of Sanchez's salary were you paying?
Sanchez was about 400. To Inter Milan, I think we were paying something like 50% of it.
So 200k.
But he's not there. He's not United. He's not the wage bill anymore.
Yeah, I think the point I'm trying to make is there's a big chasm between yourselves and Newcastle. So to try and compare Newcastle spending 80 million in one season this season, when you've spent how much over the last 5 years, I think it's a bit laughable. But I take the point that you're trying to make. That they have spent some money. I'll take that. But
they have spent money.
Using United was not the best example.
But the thing with it, they've spent money, but I think like what we said and the investment and the way they invested, I don't think it is in the right order how they've invested it.
Well, it depends on how you look at investment. You know, everyone says, "Oh, Man City got lucky with the Arab Sheikh Mansour." Well, the bit I would say is, if you're the richest man in the world with all the advisors, and you've seen a club that got 30,000 fans plus when they're in Division 2, you've got to go, yeah, I think that's where I'm going to put my money. I want to put on that one. But Sheikh Mansour has invested his money in half of East Manchester.
Yeah.
3 schools, hospital, grounds, facilities. You know, the Man United guys, the ground's half falling down, and they only actually remembered that women played football 12 months ago. You know, there's no investment. The Glazers, they're dinosaurs. They're living in the past. They want to invest in the team. The stadiums are falling down. They were late to the table on a women's team, which is a disgrace for a club like United. And there is no investment in the local area. It's still an unwashed armpit of Manchester around Old Trafford. Whereas you look at East Manchester, where Sheikh Mansour has invested huge, not just properties, schools, hospitals, training facilities. You know, the youth football, etc. in Manchester. Whereas all Glazers look at it, what do they call it in America? It's a franchise, man. It's a franchise. Well, yeah, your ground's falling down. It's an unwashed armpit of Manchester in the area, and you've only just worked out ladies play football. What we do. Is that an investment? You know, when they talk about fair play, well, know, he's regenerated a quarter of Manchester versus, and in the state, bought the stadium, invested in the stadium. Is that not fair play? You know, brought women's soccer right into the nucleus of there. Is that not fair play? Whereas the Glazers just bung money and silly wages on Sanchez and Agala and Cavani. What's fair play?
On that note, guys, I think I'm gonna pull it into the preview. I think Ian and Solo United, you might want to do another podcast where you guys
we'll do it,
discuss
Man City United next time.
Yeah, I think that'll be an interesting one for the viewers. But listen, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you to all our viewers. Thank you to anyone watching this on demand. Please subscribe, like, and share. I've been FTB Stitches. You've been great, and this has been Solo United 7 and Ian. Thank you very much, guys. Please follow me on Twitter. I do have some fairly interesting things to say. Anyway, I'll see you on the other side. Thank you very much.
Thank you.